research scientist with the Forestry Institute of Ghana, based in Kumasi. And we thank you so much for that insight. Moving on, it's always important that we recognize also the presence of our sister institutes, the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission. The scientists are here. Can we see your hand up? Thank you so much for coming and supporting us. I also am aware that we have the Nuclear Regulatory Authority. Sheila is here, and I know the team is also here. All right. Thank you so much for coming. All right. You are here, and that's the most important thing. All protocols observed. It's proper that now we listen to the chairman of this August event, in no other person than our very own Director General of the CSR, Professor Paul Pinnock Bosu, as he comes to give us the opening remarks. Please give it up to him. He's a very fine gentleman.
Thank you very much, Mr. President of RSA. A very good morning to everyone for making it to today's dialogue. The council chairman, the representatives of the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, and indeed the party, I'm sure in a short while the rep will be introduced. So I don't want to say much about him. I know him too well to start talking about him now already and his team. Directors, CSI directors, RSA president and NEC members, our distinguished guests, friends from GAEC, we are in this together. Our media partners, friends, and invited guests, all protocol observed. We are here again. Last week, when we met the NDC, in fact, before we met, the expectations were very high because of how much we hyped this engagement with the presidential candidates. The enthusiasm was deflated a little bit because we did not have the presidential candidate of NDC here, and we did not have his running mate here. And some of us were afraid that it was going to be a case of as it was in the beginning. And today we have the same story. But we cannot take anything out of it because the person leading the team is a very well-known figure. I'm resisting the temptation to introduce him and say a lot of things about him, so I will not go there. But suffice it to say that you are welcome to the auditorium of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences and to this presidential dialogue series organized by the Research Staff Association of the CSIR, ably supported by the Research Scientists Association of GAEC, NRA, and all others. As Professor Puni said, last week I said it, and I said another thing, which actually are not my words. Those are the words that our former Minister for Environment, Science, and Technology, Professor Frimpong Boateng, used to say, and I quote, that the poverty gap is a technology gap, and it's still the same. Today, I guess I'll just extend it, and I will say that the poverty gap is an STI gap, and that is why we are here. We are here, we want to hear what the presidential candidate of the NPP, His Excellency Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, has to say, has to tell us through his representatives here this morning. We want to understand when they tell us that their manifesto, the NPP manifesto, is based on the theme selfless leadership bold solutions for jobs and business. We need to understand that. We have read it and we have tried to understand some of them. Some of them are easy, straightforward to understand. Others, we need to hear more. We need to ask questions. But let me say this, that scanning through the manifesto, I was looking at it. It is laced with a lot of science, technology, and innovation. I can confidently say that. When you scan through it, it is full of that in one way or another. Chapter after chapter after chapter, it is written that STI is there. But we want to hear how it is going to be implemented. And just to let me be able to say exactly what it's all about, I looked at, for example, chapter 4, which talks about, and I brought it here, I made a photocopy, jobs and opportunities for the youth. And to try to look at where the science bit is showing, it has items like building a digital economy hub in Ghana. Interesting. Training in technology and innovation. Interesting. Training in technical and vocational. Fostering soft skills, creative thinking, and mindset. And then I come to the same chapter 4.4, where it's talking about supporting the job creation ecosystem. And there's this section that really got my internal organs tickled, really tickled. And it's because it says that there's a section that says, invest in scientific research and development and innovations. So whilst I was getting excited, I just got myself prompted that, wait a minute, is it not the usual fine talk, fine language that we hear during campaign seasons, where everything looks like it's going to be smooth, it's going to be nice, it's going to go well. So today, we are here this morning. We want to examine what is written, and we want to be assured that these things have not been written merely to entice us in CSIR to just vote number one. But we have to actually interrogate some of these things. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say that there are so many other things. In fact, there's a whole 2-page focusing on science with CSIR standing out. I don't have the time to talk about that. So I encourage all of us, let's listen well. Let's listen to what is being said. And more importantly, let's listen to what is not going to be said. There's a way you can listen when something is not being said. And then let's ask critical questions. Let's punch holes. And let's make sure that what we will hear today will be something that is doable and is worth following. So on that note, I think I've talked too much already. On that note, I want to once again welcome you to this presidential dialogue series. And I wish that we'll have, as the president and the moderator said last time, several times, a fantastic time. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Prof. Bosu. And as our internal organs are being tickled, it's important that we listen to one very fine gentleman in our midst. He's a very person that will say one or two things, but it means a lot. And it's always good to have him when we invite him. Anytime you invite him as a guest speaker or a keynote speaker, wherever you invite him, in fact, he's been a great support at that for the Research Staff Association of CSR. And we are humbled to have him here. It's always good to hear him speak. And I want to, as you all help me with a clap and applause, as we invite our council chairman, Professor Robert Kingsford Adabo as he gives us a message or two. Please give it up for him. He's still a very fine, fantastic gentleman. Thank you so much.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to deliver a speech, just a comment. Protocols have been laid out, and so all the protocols are observed. I think the purpose of coming has already been said. What I will add is this. There's really a seeming gap between how scientists collaborate with policymakers. I've been in the seat for about 7 years, and I think that we struggle with policymakers, governance. Sometimes we think that we are not being heard loud enough. Sometimes we think that they are just interested just to pay our salaries. I want to see a lot of change in the attitude towards science research and innovation. Because we've always said the cliche is there. Science is the bedrock of development. But how do we put these words really into operation? Like the Director General said, when I also go through the manifesto, a lot of things have been said. It's well delivered. So team, that's a good work. I can see a lot, and also CSIR being a focus. And then, fine words don't buy a horse. We want to see the implementation thereof. Government cannot do without CSIR. I see some part of your manifesto where you talk about reorganizing the institutions that do research. Some of them overlap to be able to bring about efficiency. Very much welcome to see CSIR being the front place to do what it is mandated to do. Act says so. We'll be much interested to know what government, fast forward, is thinking about how they are going to resource science research in the country itself, especially national research. I'd like to know. I'd like to know how some institutes within CSIR can be part of the agenda for creating jobs. How their impact can create jobs and then improve the economy of this country. This country is still a provider of raw natural resources that do not have much input into making them refined for export. How long can we continue doing this? So, as part of our gathering here, we would like to show, take a torchlight into the manifesto and bring out some of the salient points we have mentioned and make critique and see how it will help us all. We thank you for coming, that we enjoy this gathering. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Chair. As I said, he's a man of few words, but deep thoughts and food for thought he always gives us anytime he has our Water Research Institute, my very own Professor Water Research Institute, my very own Professor Mike Osaya Kenebwana. We salute you. CSR SECU, as you see it beside your chair, it is by his generous donation that we see that we don't take it for granted. Thank you so much, Director. Thank you so much. As we prepare to go into the dialogue, I am singularly honored to introduce to the podium our very own Dr. She's a senior research scientist with the STEPRI, CSR STEPRI, Science and Technology Policy Research Institute, just across the street. And she is an economics, in the field of economics of innovation and development, agriculture and enterprises sectors. She's also doubling as the head of Agriculture, Medicine and Environmental Research Division at the CSR STEPRI. And she's also an Osofumami, let me add. So in her speech, sometimes you'll be wondering, but take it like that. She's a very spiritually filled woman of substance. I'm honored. And she's also Ajwa, and I'm Kojo. So please give it up to take a stage. Yes. Okay. Let me also introduce the representative of the MPP presidential candidate. I am also very honored. In fact, we didn't know we were going to meet here again. DG didn't want to say so much before going into politics. He left as a principal research scientist. And I'm honored to meet him because he was also a former national secretary for the Research Staff Association. 2009, Hansen Norte, Member of Parliament, Tema Central. Please. Honorable, welcome. We appreciate your time. And we also have Mr. Matthew, is it Chairman, right? Consultant at the Ministry of Health. And he's here to really, I think he's also part of the manifesto committee for the MPP. Let's give it up to him, Mr. Matthew Treme. Thank you so much for coming. So let me just give you a bit of insight into who Dr. Emmanuel Mafo is. He holds a BSc in Natural Resources, of course, from KNUST. Someone say that it's debatable, but whether we like it or not, that's where the technocrats are coming from. So he's a technocrat. And then he also holds, as I speak to you, he is someone who has 2 masters. He has a master's in development finance from the University of Ghana, and also a PhD in environmental policy from Wageningen University. So he's really gone far a policy, and I'm sure that the issue of Galamsey will come in handy for him as we ask these questions. And before Parliament, like I said, he was a principal research scientist for FORIC, and then he was also a senior lecturer, part-time lecturer at the Kia Natural Resource Department. Those of us who know Forichrome in Ashanti region, he is the MP for Forichrome. As a member on the National Council for TVET Service and a member of the National Plantation Development Fund. And that is our very own Dr. Emmanuel Mafo. Shall we give up an applause, a resounding one, as we invite our representative for the MPP presidential candidate, Dr. Emmanuel Mafo. Doc, welcome to the stage. Okay, so what we'll do is that we will have an interaction. The moderator, Dr. Justin Onoma, will give us, I think, about 45 minutes thereabout. We will interact with the representative of the presidential candidate, Dr. Mafo, and then we'll give 30 minutes to the audience to also ask questions.